Hi, and welcome to the April. This is the April book for the Comix Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club. Our book is Everything is Flammable by Gabrielle Bell, who we have here live and in person. Awesome. Everybody loved the book. I'm hoping this was a fantastic book, and thank you so much for coming, Gabrielle, and
thank you.
And being willing to talk to us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, comics.
Yes.
So why comics? What's comics for you? What is it that for you makes comics the way that you want to express yourself?
Well, I am very good at writing and I'm very good at drawing, and I don't want to waste any of it. That's all.
No. But what was the thing that attracted you to comics in the first place? What?
I mean, seriously, I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to be an artist, and then when I found comics, I found that I could synthesize the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you find comics then? What was your first exposure to comics?
My exposure, it was, I mean, of course it was like Mad Magazine and Archie Comics and Tintin and Asterix, but then when I was older, my friend had a big stack of like Hate and 8-Ball and Dirty Plot and Love and Rockets, those kind of things. Harvey Picar's American Splendor. So it was those. And I could see that you could, tell a story, a very personal story through comics.
When you first started, you were doing self-published comics.
Yes, I brought them here.
You brought them here.
And they were simultaneously welcomed and rejected.
I welcomed them. Rob Bennett, I'm sorry, back in the day. Some of you remember, but others don't. But it's okay. What was that experience like? Not the being rejected part, but
I'm glad you asked.
No, the self-publishing part, the doing that work.
I would make my mini comics. I didn't really like to do it. I'd usually spend all night at Kinko's getting things wrong all the time, but I persevered, and then I would take them to the comics festivals, like the Alternative Press Expo, and I went down to Comic-Con and I would sell them and meet people and trade. And I mean, it was hard work, but at the same time it came very naturally to me.
Yeah. It's a different world now than it was when you started.
Yeah.
Because there weren't nearly as many festivals and things.
Yeah, and it was also in the 90s. There was not the internet to muck everything up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very much smaller and not so many women.
Yeah.
And it was more of a. It didn't have that sort of hope of making it mainstream as much.
Right.
Like I think the most mainstream you could get was Toronto Quarterly or so.
Right.
But so there wasn't really a lot of. It was more of an underground thing in a way, but also like it was a community. But I think it still is in a lot of ways. Still, cartoonists they seek each other out, and cartoonists they befriend each other easily.
Yeah.
Because they have a sort of similar neurosis.
Do you feel like it's gotten easier or harder over the last 15, 20 years? Depends.
Do you mean drawing comics or getting the comics out there, or making?
I suppose let's talk about sort of the business part of comics, the getting comics out there, the making money.
Well, the internet really helped me a lot, because I didn't really like making mini comics, and so I was able to just put them on the internet and reach a wider audience, and
But you're not really making any money that way, yeah? Or were you?
I was making money. I mean, it's sort of. I mean, I was always making some money, not a lot.
Sure.
But when you put your work out there, you get more people interested, and then you can sell more. I would sell mini comics and books, like once I put my work on the internet, my friend Tom started publishing them as mini comics, and they would sell very well, and then he published them as a book. So it all kind of feeds into each other. I mean, people would still buy the book even if they'd seen the comics on the internet. And the internet, you know, like I got fans in other countries, and so I do think that it's still a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of bad things to it, but
Sure.
it helped me a lot.
Sure. If you were starting today,
Mm-hmm.
do you think you would approach things the same way, or would it be very different because of the nature of the way the business has changed?
I don't know. I think that I would have probably been into the idea of making mini comics. Like, there's something very nice about a little booklet that you make yourself, and you have complete control over it. It's like, and you can give them as gifts or trade them or sell them. I think I would have been into that, and because I mean I was very much into that when I was starting out. I mean, it just got burned out on the making of it. But yeah, so I think maybe if I started out today, I'd probably do it similar, but I probably wouldn't have done mini comics for as long.
Yeah.
I probably would have switched over to the internet and tried
Right.
different venues and stuff.
Because it seems to me that one of the big pressures that new cartoonists have today is the pressure to put out a 120, 150 page book,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, you tell me about your own experience, but it seems to me that's a really challenging.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's the best way to do. Like, I don't think comics are really suited as full-length novels. I think the form is suited best for short pieces. But yeah, I mean, as far as the market goes, that's what is expected. It's the same in novels and short stories.
Sure.
And it's the same in movies and short films. Like, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to put out a long thing that is like 90 minutes or 300 pages or whatever. That's just what the market dictates.
Yeah. What's your ideal length for a comic, do you think?
Like 6 or 7 pages.
6 or 7 pages. Yeah. You used to do an awful lot of work with anthologies, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There used to be anthologies
Yeah.
though, and
Yeah.
there kind of aren't anymore.
Yeah, so after I did a lot of mini comics, then I started being asked to be in a lot of anthologies. And I didn't like that so much because I was used to the control and independence and power of my own mini comics, and then suddenly I didn't have a lot to show for it except for just being one of many other cartoonists. And you know, anthologies don't sell so well, I think. So that was actually a pretty frustrating time for me. Like, I was working all the time, but I didn't make any, like, I would make money selling my mini comics, but I didn't make any money doing the anthologies.
Right.
That was a frustrating time.
Yeah. So from that point of view, I suppose it's better now.
Well, I mean, I guess with the anthologies, it did challenge me to become a better cartoonist for sure, because I was trying to like live up to these other artists and stuff. But I have to say I'm not too crazy about anthologies.
What's the biggest challenge for you working to sort of prove yourself to other artists, or to prove yourself to your own self?
I don't think I have to prove myself to other artists. I think I've done that. I mean, I've been at it for 20 years.
Sure.
Like, if I haven't convinced them by now, then there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, well, you only because you said it in terms of the anthology, you know, so.
But, no, I just want to get better, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to have my next thing be better than the previous thing. I mean, I just want for it to grow.
Yeah. Do you feel that you're making that steady progress?
Sometimes it seems more like a circle.
Yeah.
But I think this is my best book, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, I regress and then I jump forward, and then sometimes I have to get really stupid and like infantile in order to get more advanced or something.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Is it harder to structure something like this where you know that, you know, 3/4 of the pages are on a particular theme, right?
You mean this particular book?
This particular book, yeah. Than it was doing smaller, shorter stories.
Well, this book was sort of, it kind of wrote itself in a way. Like, I've been trying to do a whole graphic novel for years and years, and I just never managed to get the momentum, and like it just never really gelled. But this one, it just kept, there was a pull to it. I just kept, I mean, the thing about a book, a long-term project, you have to be interested enough to keep at it. And like, usually I'd lose interest, but I didn't lose interest with that one. And you need to be somewhat interested. You can't just force yourself through it, because then it's not going to be any good.
Yeah. I actually want to ask too, how's your mother doing? Is she?
She's doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I'll see her next week, and we're going to go on vacation for like the first time ever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to rent this little cabin on the beach and just hang out for a few days.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. What does she think about?
She's not too crazy about it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel like it kind of racked her through the coals or something, so I'm taking her on vacation to make up for it or something. No, I don't think she's too crazy about it. She's a very private person, and this is all kind of embarrassing to her, I think. I mean, for me, I'm used to exposing myself, and I don't have a lot of shame, or like, you know, it's my job just to expose myself. But for her, well, for one, she's not comfortable with it, and for another thing, it's me doing the writing, so I get to choose what she says and does in the story, which isn't really fair.
Right.
But she's kind enough to sign off on it.
Yeah. When you're working on a book like this, where you've got someone involved, like your mother, are you sharing the pages as you're going along, or are you sort of waiting until you have a big chunk?
I waited until I had a big chunk. And she didn't even want to read it.
Yeah.
But I felt like, I mean, I didn't realize she didn't want to read it, but I felt I needed to show it to her, so I printed it all out and I gave it to her. And she was like, I just wish you hadn't showed it to me. I mean, she's just, it's not, just imagine if you just didn't have the control over your life, and then somebody portrays that. Like, it's just like the exposure is sort of painful.
Sure.
I hope she gets used to it, and I hope she gets a lot of respect and some enjoyment or something out of it. Because I mean, it seems like when people read the book, they tend to appreciate and respect her more.
Very much so. Yeah. No, I mean, I think she comes off really, really nicely in the book. She seems like a terrific person who's trying just to set her own course, and that's something I respect.
Yeah,
tremendously.
So I hope that like if she meets people who's read the book, and that she sees that they don't think bad of her, and if they respect her, and that she won't feel so bad about the book. Yeah. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah. You talked about some of the early things that you read, and there was a certain amount of autobio in there, but there was also things like Tintin. What made you think that autobiography was the thing that you wanted to do, as opposed to just doing comics in general?
Well, I started out doing fiction, and but there was a sort of momentum that happened when I would do autobiography, and I find that it's best if I can sort of merge the two, fiction and autobiography. You know, I can sort of mold the personal stories into a sort of fictional arc or something. Like, that's my aim, to try to make it, to raise it to a fictional level.
Yeah. Is there a challenge in editing your own experiences to make it flow with a structure? Like what's I don't know what that's like, because I
mean, it's
try.
like I mean, like the truth tends to be the first thing to go. Like if it's a good story and I have to bend the truth, then I will. Or if it's like too complicated, I'll simplify it. Or like sometimes I'll have a conversation with somebody that lasts for months over several meetings, and I can just condense it into a single sitting. Or I can just make it more punchy or funny, or just, I mean, like, I don't constrain myself to the truth.
Right. It's almost truer than true in a way.
I wouldn't say that.
No?
No, because truth can be rather boring. And I'm trying to make it interesting.
Yeah. Are there any questions from our audience here? Yeah, please.
Use the mic.
I'll hold it like that. Or yes, come over. Yeah, there you go.
All right. So we need good audio on these.
Yeah,
Like,
audio is always important.
Yeah, one of the ones I watched. Not sorry to digress, but like the audio kept cutting out when you would.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I want to make sure. Okay. I'm just curious about the writing process. So like, when did you start and stop, and when did you know when to stop, and when did you know that this was going to be a graphic novel as opposed to something shorter or longer?
I'm not sure. I know that like at first it was going to be like a series of little vignettes, and then they started becoming more and more and sort of taking shape. And I kept going back to California. Like I did a lot of trips up there. I can't remember why. I think, I would come back just to help her out with something else, or to, there was always some reason to come back. And at some point I was just like, I just need to come back because I feel like that's what I need to do to finish the book. And every time I went up there was more material, or there was more like something I needed to say, I guess. Like my last trip, there was a bathroom on the house, and my last trip, it all just kind of happened naturally. Like the ending just came with it. I don't know, there was something, I mean, like sometimes I see with other artists, they seem tuned into something, and like something is writing through them. And I felt like that with this. Like, I mean, not that I wasn't involved, but it just felt like there was something helping me or something. I don't want to get too spiritual or something, but it did feel like there was something bigger going on. I don't know how to explain it. But then also it was just like I'm writing a bunch of stories.
Do you still, or I don't know if you did in the past, but do you write any stories or short stories outside of your comics, just like traditional boring text on a page?
I used to. It's been a long time. When I was young, I really tried to be an artist, like do paintings and drawings, but I just they never really worked. And I tried to write stories, but they just never really went anywhere. They didn't have that kind of power that I read in other like writers' stories. It was only when I did the comics that it seemed to go anywhere. So I've been sort of reluctant to try to write prose. Although, I mean, I would like to, because I love to read. I love to read prose. But I'm just like, every time I try it, just feels wrong or flat, dead on the page. Something comes alive when I draw like the pictures and the words together. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but for me, somehow that works.
Let's talk about craft a little bit, maybe. When you're doing a book like this, what's your process? Are you thumbnailing it out? Are you just drawing from the heart?
Thumbnailing it. I use I do kind of elaborate stick figures, like general sketches, but I do it all to scale, kind of, and then I use a light box, and I'll just use ink on paper, on graph paper, and I'll just sort of like sketch out how I want it to look, and then I take another piece of paper, another piece of graph paper, do the whole thing all over again, and I just keep doing that until it's become refined. So I don't use a pencil, but I just do a lot of inking and with a light box.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. How many cycles do you go through on an average page?
Sometimes like 7, and it's not just the drawing that evolves, but it's like the writing. So each time I do a new draft, I also I refine the drawing, but I also refine the writing. Like I sort of rewrite it again and again, and then find different ways of saying things, and like a lot of editing, or like I think of something new to say. Like it sort of helps me to write and draw. It works as a whole vehicle, moves all together, so it's not cut and pasted together.
Yeah. Are you're hand lettering? Yeah.
I do a lot of fixing it up on Photoshop.
But you're doing your own coloring here digitally, yeah. Yeah. Because I actually read the book in black and white. Yeah, I got an advanced copy, and so like when I actually saw the color version, I was like, "Whoa, it's in color! That's really strange."
Yeah, it's really striking.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be in color because I knew that it would be more eye-catching.
Yeah.
And there were some things in there that needed to be in color. Like, for example, there's like so close to the beginning, they're looking at this stove, and it's like a blue stove, and then towards the end there's like this fantasy sequence in which the stove comes back, and the fact that it's blue sort of indicates that it's the same stove. I don't know if anyone would really notice that, but there's a sort of things like that where the color sort of is part of the storytelling.
Yeah. This is your first color book, isn't it?
No. The Voyeurs was also.
Oh, okay.
Voyeurs was also. And also Cecil and Jordan had some color stories in it too.
Is it more difficult to process through the color as well? Just because it seems to me there's an immediacy from just drawing, and not having to add all these other steps.
Well, it was a lot of work, a lot of extra time, months of extra time, but I really think that color helps the story. It helps your eyes know where to go, basically. I mean, it's also, it helps sell the work, like it just jumps out at you. But it is an incredible amount of work.
Yeah. Frank Santora said the craft is the enemy. What do you...
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would say the craft is the work, but I don't really know what craft is. I mean, what did he mean when he said that?
I think that what he was talking about was that spending too much time trying to get the perfect angle, the perfect piece of rendering, the perfect line.
I think he's just being arty. I find that that's a process you have to go through until you're so proficient at it that you don't have to fuss over it.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's an enemy.
Yeah. At this point in your career, do you feel like it's second nature to you, or do you still struggle with...
I mean, there's always something to struggle with. It's not like it'll ever be finished. There's always something new to learn. That said about Frank Santero, I think he's a great cartoonist.
Oh, sure.
I don't know why he thinks craft is an enemy. It seems to work for him.
I don't even necessarily know that that's a thing that he thinks it even any longer. That was a 15-year-old meme probably at this point.
He thinks he's being clever.
Yeah, it's possible. It's entirely possible. It was just a natural question to ask. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you out like that. Do we have any other? Yes, please.
So, does your art help you manage your anxiety, or does it create more anxiety?
It's really hard to say. I think it does. Yeah, sometimes I'll do some comic that just seems like such a shameful, painful thing, and I'll put it on the internet. Again, I think the internet's great for this kind of stuff, and then I'll get some really nice replies, and people will be like, I feel that too, and I'm grateful that someone can share that feeling. And that's very nice. I mean, just sharing a thing online and sharing, and then people thinking that people are going to be disgusted, and it turns out that they're welcoming of it. That's always very nice. And just also just put something that's in your mind, just putting it on paper makes it into a real thing. That is very helpful. I mean, I think that's a kind of a cathartic thing. But, I mean, obviously it hasn't entirely, because I'm just as anxious as ever. So who knows? I mean, I'm a little bit better. I've learned how to manage it, but it certainly hasn't gone away.
Does drawing help manage it, or?
I mean, perhaps it helps manage it, and perhaps it brings more on too. It's very hard to measure. I don't know. Maybe you should ask my psychiatrist.
So you go through up to 7 or 8 different draft, maybe not the right word there, iterations perhaps of a single page.
Some are just like 3,
Yeah.
but they're usually quite a few.
So what does that represent in time? Are you spending 3 to 7 days on a page, or are you talking
I
can go through?
With this book, it went really well. Maybe it was just like 2 days per page. But then there'd be there was coloring and editing took forever too. But I could do a page in a day. It really depends, because part of is the writing. And then I'm very exacting. If I'm not happy with something, or if something's not working, I'll just scrap it and start something new. Or if some particular panel isn't working, I'll just redraw something. I'm not really precious about it.
Sure.
But I'm not. I used to be super slow. It would take a few weeks just to do a page. But now I can be pretty quick. But I mean, it's with comics, I think the more work you put into it, the better it is. And by work, I don't mean filling up the page, but I mean trying different angles, or experimenting, or seeing just redrawing or designing. I don't mean just putting stuff in. I mean taking stuff out is part of the process too. But I do think it's the same with design. You work really hard to create a simple design, and a lot of it has to do with you try different things and you take out different things. And it might look like it took 5 seconds, but it could take 3 days. I do think comics work in that way too. You have to put in the work.
Yeah. When you're doing a long form story, it strikes me that you have less opportunity to throw stuff out.
I still did though.
You still did, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I threw a lot out. I wasn't, I think that's the thing about short stories, is that you can throw things out. You can really take your time to perfect each thing. And a long form thing is it can be less perfect. But this is in a way, it's a collection of short stories that are creative, strung together. And I didn't want to skimp on anything. I wanted to make everything as good as it could be.
Yeah.
I didn't have any particular deadline. After a while I did sort of make deadlines, but I wanted to take my time on it. I wasn't gonna rush through anything. There was no reason to.
Another question? I can keep talking. Okay. So what's the editorial process like here? Who's editing you? How does that work for you? Because I've seen that works very differently for every cartoonist.
Well, I used to show my friend Tony a lot of my work, and he would give me very good feedback. And I've been showing it less and less to him or to other people. In a way, I have Tony's voice in my head. I don't know, like, I look at it, I'm like, what would Tony say? In this book in particular, I didn't show it to very many people while I was working on it. Like, I felt like my vision was pretty strong with it. Like, I felt like I knew what I was doing. I showed it to people occasionally, but they didn't really give me a lot of feedback, except this is good, keep working on it or whatever. Like, I felt pretty confident with this. Like, I mean, this is what, my 6th book, and I'm starting to get, you know, my, like, getting more comfortable with my voice and confident of what works and what doesn't work. But I do show it to, I showed it to my publisher a few times, and I got feedback, and I found that, yeah, at this point, I feel like my voice is pretty strong, and sometimes I show people, and they give me the wrong advice. Like, my publisher told me there was a page in there about me holding up a bicycle that represents anxiety, and he's like, maybe we should take that page out because it doesn't really add to the story. But in fact, if that particular page has really resonated, and I've been asked about that page a lot in interviews and stuff, which makes me think I probably took some bad advice and left out some good stuff too.
You're publishing here with Uncivilized. Prior to this, a lot of your books have been through Drawn Quarterly.
Just 2.
Well, but that seems like a lot.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What's the process of just sort of deciding on who's going to publish a book?
Well, with Uncivilized, it's my friend Tom, and we work together on the book, and he listens to my ideas, and we work together on it. It's almost like we publish it together. And I make a better rate. I make more money from him. And it's a sort of collaborative feeling. Whereas Drawn Quarterly just didn't have that feeling with them. They and I didn't work very well. And I wasn't making a lot of money with them. I probably sold more books with them, but I just wasn't happy with them. I think they're a great publisher, but not for me.
Sure. I don't want to be pushy here, but do you make a living
Just barely.
doing a book like this? Yeah.
But I do. I mean, I live off, like, I get honorariums for speaking, and I sell a lot of artwork on my website, and I make money at festivals selling stuff, and it's hard sometimes. But I've always managed to make ends meet, but that's about it, just barely. I started a Patreon, so I make some money from that, and I've been doing portraits, just so I just make money from all different sources. But I do make royalties from that.
Yeah, I was thinking in terms of the amount of labor that it goes into.
Well, as far as the labor goes, I'm probably getting paid like $2 an hour.
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still getting paid. I just have to make that $2 an hour stretch.
Do you think that culture and society could value cartoonists more?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's something about comics that we make it look easy, so people assume it's easy. I think that's not the same. I mean, I think there is some growing to be done in that area. Like in a magazine, they'll pay an illustrator a lot more to do like a whole page of illustration than a cartoonist. Like an illustrator could get paid $800 for a little thing like that, and a cartoonist could get paid like $150 for like a whole page of comics, which is essentially several illustrations plus story plus design. It's far more work. And then like even with like a novel, like prose, it would take many more years to create a graphic novel than it would a regular novel. And yet the percentage that you'd get paid would be the same basically. So it's really, I mean, it's hard to be a novelist too, but,
Sure.
but that has not caught up with the industry and with society, and I don't know where all the money is going. Maybe the publishers are just getting very rich.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it. Most of the publishers I know, yeah.
So basically then people just don't like to read comics.
Yeah, well, I don't think people like to read is
But people do like to read.
well, people like to read, but people don't necessarily pay to read necessarily.
Libraries.
Yeah, which are awesome things. Yeah. Well, no, let's put that one aside. I don't even know what I was going to say there. You're a Brooklyn girl.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in Brooklyn.
I've been in Brooklyn since 2001. And I left for about 3 years, but I've been altogether about 15 years. Or
So Brooklyn's changed a tremendous amount in that time.
Well, so has San Francisco.
So San Francisco. Well, that was actually kind of what I was gonna ask was, did you have any kind of compare and contrast between the way that these cultures change and people coming into places, or not? That's fine. You don't have to.
I don't know. I mean, the big cities is where all the culture is at, but then it's getting harder and harder to live in them.
Yeah. Particularly for artists, it seems like, and it's one of the things that kind of most deeply frustrates me about San Francisco is San Francisco used to be all artists.
I remember that.
And
I had this great place on Mission Street. I was paying $300 a month for my room, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And I'd bike over here and sell my comics.
Yeah.
It was nice. But I think that's bygone era.
Yeah. Because it strikes me that like the world just doesn't value art the way that it should.
Maybe it's America.
Maybe.
In Europe, I go to festivals and they do treat cartoonists a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does your work sell significantly better?
I don't know.
Mm.
I have a few European publishers, but I don't know if it sells better. But I think that's the thing about in Europe, they still value you as an artist if you're not a big seller.
Sure.
I think in America, it's sort of like, I mean, it's very capitalist. I mean, even Drawn and Quarterly it's really like, and it's understandable, like you gotta pull your weight. If you're not selling books, then you sort of go to the back of the line.
Yeah. That's probably not the case with the publisher like Tom, right?
Yeah, no, well, with Tom, I'm one of the bigger sellers. So I'm a big fish in the small pond, which suits me.
Yeah. And he's loves comics and he's about the form. And,
Well, Drawn and Quarterly is also.
That's true.
But they also, they got mouths to feed.
Yeah. I think it's easier Drawn and Quarterly if you're a Canadian
That's
cartoonist because they can get grants and stuff
Yes.
to publish your comics. A little harder if you're not Canadian.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? No. You guys answered all the questions already? Wow.
I got a question.
Yeah, please.
It's kind of simple, but are you reading any comics actively right now, like modern comics?
At the moment, I much prefer to read prose, actually. There's something about prose, like literature, that I really like to get lost in, but I do read comics just to see what's happening.
You go to the comic shop very often?
I usually get my comics from the library because I can't really afford
Sure.
comics. I just read Robert Crumb and Aileen Kaminsky's Drawn Together. That was really inspiring. I read Rosalie Lightning by Tom Hart.
That's a fantastic book.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
yeah. It'll come to me.
Yeah. Do you so? Because that's a fantastic book, and it's a very heartfelt piece of autobiography, dealing with a really raw subject, the death of their child, who was just a toddler. I mean, that's rough, and that's raw, and that's emotional. Do you ever feel like an autobiography, because you're putting so much craft in, and you're going in and putting so much energy and redrawing and all these things, that do you feel like you're portraying truth or your version of the truth, or does it even matter at the point once you craft the story the way that you want it to be crafted? Or was that a stupid question?
Are we talking about craft again?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not even sure what I'm talking about here.
I mean, well, I am not particularly interested in the truth. I think it's all relative. I mean, I do much more unplanned comic, like very spontaneous comic. Like my mini comic I have here is like all first drafts, because I want to get at something more raw. But I mean, I think, like I said, I think that there is something to be said for craft too. But I mean, I think that, like I said too, sometimes I have to become a bit primitive or infantile and just get whatever is out there on the page. And I think it's all truth.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna read some of my recent stories.
Oh, sure.
These
That's on.
is on.
It's on.
Yeah.
These are some of my recent stories that I've done since finishing Everything is Flammable. And this one I did for Vice magazine. It's about dogs. This is called The Nicest Dog. I am here for you. Karen and I went to the dog pound. These are our veterans. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Yeah, keep walking, bitch. Why won't you let me die? Pick me. This is Gwen. She just came in. She's 6 months old. Hello. Have you come to take me away from all this? Here, you can meet her. Hi, I'm the nicest dog you'll ever meet. I'll make you happier than you've ever been. I'm the answer to all your problems. Look, I'm your baby. Get me out of this place. Would you like to take her for a walk? I've never walked a dog in the city before. Just make sure she doesn't eat or drink anything. Fuck yeah, we're going for a walk. Should I let her stop as much as she likes? Yeah, let her have her fun. Oh, hang on. I want to smell the smell. What is this? This is a thing. Wait, I gotta check out this thing. Wait, hang on. What do I do when we meet other dogs? See how they react. If they seem friendly, you can let them say hi. Hey, hi, a dog. Hey, dog, come on over here. I want to sniff your ass. Let me get a good whiff. Oh, I like that. How old's your dog? 6 months. Ooh, you smell great. You're funny. Hang on, I gotta take a shit. Oh man, that feels good. Oh yeah, that's nice. You're gonna keep that? Oh, I'm so flattered. I like you too. I would not refuse a sample of yours. She's got a nice gait, and she's good on a leash. What a cute dog. Back at ya, lady. Wow, she's great. So friendly. She just turned my world around. So you're gonna take me home? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But I don't think I'm ready for a dog. She's the first one I've seen. Oh, please, please, please don't make me go back in that cage. She'll probably be adopted the next day or two. She's a popular dog. If you don't take me, you will regret it forever. That's a good dog. I know. Should I take her? I can't really afford to have a dog, but she's perfect. The next day. Hi, is Gwen there? She's right in here. She's quite the celebrity. In fact, she's just getting adopted right now. Oh, you've come back for me. I knew you would not let me down. Oh, you haven't come back for me, have you? You're just saying goodbye. Please don't let that guy take me home. If you come back next week, we've got lots more puppies coming in. You really blew it, you know. The next week. You're here to see the puppies. Yep, 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 yep. Oh, the puppy smell. Can I go in there? Hee hee. Have you come to take me home? I want to love you. You and I are made for each other. Don't tell me you don't feel this. Get me out of here. I love you. Your troubles are over because I am here for you. Look at me, I'm your baby. This story is called Dear Naked Guy in the Apartment Across from Mine Spread-Eagled and absent-mindedly flicking his penis while watching TV. I know that you know that I know that you see me seeing you seeing me back. We have a silent conversation going. You are saying, I'm just trying to watch TV. And I'm saying, I'm just trying to wash my dishes. And organize my trash. And water my plants. And check to see if it's still raining. Are you feeling disenfranchised? Sandwiched in your tiny, roach-infested tenement for years on end, your wages stagnating, your expenses skyrocketing, and your neighborhood becoming unrecognizable with insufferable rich brats? Or are you happy, warm and nude, and alone in your cozy apartment after a good day's work? And sharing with your ever-changing audience the generous girth of your penis, even when only at half-mast. Hurr, hurr, hurr. Oh, he's so cute. Can I pet him? Yeah, but be careful. He can be aggressive. Hurr, hurr, hurr. He must be so much fun to have around. She's actually my girlfriend, but she's working, so... Whoops! Looks like somebody's feeling frisky. Sorry. Theodore, down. Theodore, no. Oh my, Theodore, look at that lipstick. No, Theodore. Bad. Bad. You know, if you and your girlfriend ever need to go out of town, or if you just don't feel like walking him, I'd be happy to keep an eye on him for you. Thanks, we'll keep that in mind. Theodore, come. Thank you.
Great. Do you, when you think of comics, I mean, the presentation, obviously, it's very panel by panel. But to me, and I might get a little too archery here, but I kind of feel like the juxtaposition is what makes comics comics.
The juxtaposition?
Of images, of words, of that's what the thing that comics is. So is there, when you're crafting a story, how are you looking at it panel by panel, or how are you thinking
Yeah,
about
I'm
it?
thinking of it panel by panel. I mean, basically, I'm like, what part of the story requires the words and what part requires the drawings. And so, like, if it's redundant, I'll take out the words or the drawings. But sometimes there's a sort of symmetry of words and pictures telling the same thing too.
When you're doing a longer form work like this, how much are you thinking about the page as opposed to
I'm not really thinking about the page.
at all? Okay, yeah.
I mean, I want to make it look good, but I'm not one of those cartoonists that design the whole page. I mean, I think because I'm more of a writer than a cartoonist. But yeah, I mean, I want to make each page satisfying to look at, but I'm not interested in impressing anybody.
Yeah. Well, I think you're clearly at the point in the arc of your career where you're one of our best cartoonists, I think.
Oh, well, thank you.
I do. I mean, I think that you're the clarity of your storytelling and the specifics of your voice are very strong. And you know, I think this was a fantastic book. And
Thank you. Well, that's to the committees. I don't know what committees, but you know, the committees. The ones that decide.
Yeah. Well, we picked it for the club, so that's something. That's a committee. You passed one committee.
Oh, good. Thank you.
What do you have coming up next? What are you working on?
Just working on this, experimenting. Just, I have no idea. I don't know.
So not another full
I mean,
length book, or
this book it was such a pleasure to do, and it came relatively easily. I don't want to force myself to do something that doesn't gel. So I'm kind of waiting before I start on a longer project.
but you didn't force yourself for this, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. is
Yeah.
I don't want to force anything because it's such a long commitment that
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm really in love with the subject before I embark on it.
So did you pitch this as a book, or
No.
did it just started? You just realized one day it was a book.
That's the thing with working with Uncivilized. I mean, I don't really have to pitch. I mean, I showed him what I was working on, and he's like, "Great, let's do it." But yeah, no, it wasn't really. He trusted me enough to know that
Yeah.
I would, like, he would like what I did.
Yeah.
But no, I hope to find something that's to work on. Right now I'm just doing like short, like what I just showed, like short pieces for different things. And diary comics and travel comics and stuff like that.
Do you ever feel like you have to shape the narrative to meet audience expectations, or are you purely trying to satisfy yourself?
I'm interested in satisfying the audience.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I don't really think about it in terms of satisfying myself. I'm kind of doing it for the world in a way. But, I mean, not that that's the best way to do it, but I mean, I've just been at it so long that I don't really know what satisfies me anymore.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's kind of it comes together.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about comics, because we've interviewed 45, 50 cartoonists at this point, and no two of them ever work the same at all, and everybody does the thing that's the best for them. And I think that's a power of comics, because I don't know that that's necessarily true of other mediums, you know?
Yeah.
I think there are formulas that you follow in other mediums, and
That's a good point.
you know, I think particularly when you're talking about craft and making sure that the book looks easy, like you didn't slave over it, like it was natural, is an amazing thing.
Yeah, you
So,
kind of have to slave over it to make it look not slaved over.
isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Which I think is like the deceptive part of it. Like with music, well, I guess it's the same kind of thing, but it's more respected.
Yeah.
Comics still has the kind of like, it's thought of as the throwaway art.
Yeah.
It's the thing that's sort of the distraction, the thing that's just like the relief from the serious things.
Yeah. Well, I think you have a serious thing here. I think this is a fantastic book.
Thank you.
I think that the people here think the same thing.
Thank you.
We have 250 members of the club, and everybody seemed to really like it, from what I heard. So, I know you're going to keep doing comics for the rest of your life, but I know that we're going to be here.
Don't know what else to do.
I know that feeling. Thank you so much for coming out and talking to us, and thank you for being you and doing your work, and it means something to us, and I truly think that it does. And if you ever have that minute of drawing and you don't know, know that there are people out there who really, really enjoy the thing that